Dang it. Dang connection problems, man. Sorry I'm late. Devil trying to get in my way. Messing with my business. Gremlins, man. Not cool. And I apologize. Man, had everything ready to go. And then Facebook Live, well, I don't know if it's Facebook Live, my connection on my phone just saying connection's not strong enough to do Facebook Live or whatnot. I was ready, man. Technology wasn't ready. Technology wasn't ready for me. But I was ready. Dang it. All right. Hey, but I'm glad you're here. I'm glad I was able to make it. Hope you guys have been having a fantastic week. Man, I'm going to just try to jump right on into it. We're starting at, we are on Genesis 2. I hope, those who are coming in with me right now. What's up, y'all? Good morning. Y'all. Good morning. Good evening. Maybe it's morning where you're at. I don't know. I suck at math, so I don't even know what your daylight saving times or your time zone is saying. But it's evening where I'm at right now. So good evening. Good evening to you. Hey, Nancy, how you doing? So we're gonna go ahead and get into Genesis 2. And man, I'm gonna let you guys know right now. And I'll remind some of y'all, if you hadn't heard me say it before, or if you heard me say it before, I do not read the Bible according to traditionalism. I try to take the traditional piety, forgive me for saying, I try to take that traditional human piety out of the way I read the word. If you try to read it according to like these human traditions of these, because you can't help but, if you try to read it that way, you can't help but put self-righteousness into it. The piety comes out, and we'll try to make it fit into making it look all holy and stuff like that. The Bible's already holy. You ain't got to try to make the Bible more holy, baby. The Bible is what it is. Holy book. It's the truth. Hey, we don't have to try to make it more holy than it is. So I read the Bible biblically. I don't try to read it according to traditions of, that have been passed down and stuff like that. I don't do that. You're going to miss stuff. There's glaring pictures that the Bible reveals us about the Lord, as in Christ, and God himself, and the Trinity. There are things that are revealed in there. And if you try to look at it piously, you're going to miss it. You're going to get in the way. Do not get in the way of what the Lord is trying to tell you. Now, I'm going to be reading some things and it's going to come. People will be like, oh, Zo, you heretic. Calm down, right? Once again, I'm making observations. I'm making an observation with y'all. But some people get mad, man. I tell you, man, between atheists, liberal Christians, and fundies, the real, the fundamentalist Christians, man, they get mad at me, boy. They get mad. But I wish that as, believers, that we could have, Dana, that's right. Sledge on, baby. We should be able to have civil discourse. I be seeing people, like I did that video, knowing the Nephilim. And, man, some people get mad. They get mad at me. And they'll go ahead and put up their scriptures as if I never read them, because I usually display them in my videos where I got, the scripture from. They talk about this stuff like I never read it. And then I'm sitting there watching them take that scripture and twist it with stuff that the Bible has never even mentioned. I'm like, oh, wow, and you're mad at me? I'm like, okay. And then, talk to me like I'm some sort of idiot. And then and there's no room for dialogue, because I like to dialogue about this stuff. It's fascinating to me, so I like to dialogue, even if we don't agree. Like, say, for instance, I got a buddy, Brian Godawa. He's a writer and an author, and he has a fascinating series that he does on the Nephilim. And we totally disagree about the Nephilim. But it's a fascinating story, and I'm fascinated by his take on it. And I don't get to see him that often, but what I do, we like to sit and talk about it. Actually, I like to listen to him. Just say, yeah, man, tell me, you're the storyteller, you're the writer, right? You're the expert, you're the professional writer. So hey, I just want to sit and listen to you, man. And I don't agree, but man, I'm not going to sit here and and get an attitude with you just because we don't agree about the Nephilim. He's a great writer. We don't see eye to eye on it. It's not a salvation issue, and I see no reason why I should be in contention with a brother in Christ just because we don't agree on this issue. That's not a salvational issue, But I have a great time. We sit and we talk about it. Talk about the same thing whenever we see each other. Pretty much gonna talk about the Nephilim, but I like to listen to them. So as brothers in Christ, it'd be great if we could all be that way. Because one thing is for certain. And I pray to the Lord. I surely don't want to deceive anybody. I don't. Lord, have mercy on me if I'm feeding anybody any bunk. So that's one of the reasons why I read with you guys. You're there with me reading. Hold me accountable. Even if you disagree on it, say, hey, Zo, I don't agree with what you're saying. I don't agree. I think you're looking at it wrong. But at least you know that what I looked at came from this bad boy right here. Whatever speculations I may have, okay? So I don't pull this stuff out of thin air. Pull it out from here. So I at least want to be able to say that, and you guys are watching and reading with me as it happens. That being said, let's do 2. Let's go on into 2. Oh man, I'm gonna get into trouble. I'm gonna get into some trouble here, boy. Okay, 2. So the heavens and the earth were completed, along with their entire array. God completed on the 7th day his work that he made, and he ceased. On the 7th day from all his work that he made. Then God blessed the 7th day and sanctified it, for on it he ceased from all his work that God created for the purpose of preparing. Okay, it's giving you a number and it's letting you know that it is complete. 7, number of completion, right? 7 is rounded out. Now, on this 7th day, this complete day, he says it is finished. 7 is the number of basically perfection, completion, right? You are at peace with what you have done. This is a picture of Jesus Christ, who says it is finished, it's done, right? Because Jesus, he is complete. This is a complete work. He is perfect. So 7 being the number of completion and perfection is synonymous with Jesus himself, who is going to announce on this day, it is done. So we got here on the 7th day from all his work that he had made, then God blessed him. Okay, so we read that. And notice it says, starting at 2:3, then God blessed the 7th day and sanctified it. For on it he ceased from all his work that God created for the purpose of preparing. Interesting that it says that, because Jesus Christ was executed on Sabbath preparation day. So right off the bat, the Bible's already starting to paint you a picture, starting to make Christ familiar to you, right off the bat. So now here's where we're really going to start to get into trouble. As you know, I don't view the 6-day account as the creation period. Don't run, man. Where you going? Come back here. Get back here. Just hear me out. Okay? It doesn't mean that I don't believe in the 6-day account. I absolutely believe that. Bible says it. I believe it. But in reading it, I'm like, the Bible doesn't really say, when you read the Bible in total, it's like, wait a minute. This isn't like really the creation period. This is the restoration. This is a restoration period. That's what happens in the 6 days. It's restoration. When we look at number 4, okay, 2:4, this is what's going to go down. Because we're going to run into some problems, y'all. And right off the bat, by the time we even get to chapter 2, people are already ready to say the Bible is contradicting itself. It is not consistent. It is not trustworthy, and so on and so forth. Right when we get into 2, because we run into problems. But if you understand that the 6-day period is a restoration period, not the creation period, then number 2, chapter 2 fits. It makes sense. And this isn't me trying to stretch, because only through reading through the Bible does the Bible speak of the earth that was here before Adam. Okay? This isn't like a theory. Well, gee, I wonder if there was an earth here before Adam. No, the Bible tells us that there was. Okay? So with that, then 2 starts to make sense, and there's no inconsistency. There's no contradiction. All right. Okay, so getting to 2. 4. Let's wait. Hey, Dana, how you doing? Jim Morris, Dana, David, sorry about that. Stacy, Lay, hey, thank you for joining us. I'm glad you guys are here to fellowship. Okay, so these are the genealogical records of the heavens and the earth when they were created at the time when Adonai Elohim made land and sky. All right, so now, right here, it's letting you know this is the origin. This is the genealogical record. This is how this went down. All right. These are the genealogical records of the heavens and the earth. Now, just like we discussed in chapter 1, the creationists think that, hey, this was all created. The earth and the heavens, when God said, let there be light, it was all created at once. It's like, no. God's even showing you that there was a process to it. It all didn't come into existence all at once. Okay? God made the heavens. Yes. God made the earth. Yes. He is the beginning of them both. It doesn't mean that they were created at the same time. Okay? God is the supernatural who initiated the natural process that governs and maintains our existence. He is the author of it. He wrote it. Okay? The laws, the physics, all the codes for life and so on and so forth. God is the author of it. And they came into existence through a process. God is even showing you the process. This is the restoration process. But even the initial beginning of earth process had a process. All right. So now here we go. 2, 4. These are the genealogical records of the heavens and the earth when they were created at the time when Adonai Elohim made land and sky. Now, okay, this is where we're going to run into some problems right here. And it makes sense if you understand its restoration. And if you understand that there was an earth before God said, let there be light. Okay. All right. Here we go. Now, no shrub on the field was in the land yet, and no green plants of the field had sprouted yet, for Adonai Elohim had not caused it to rain upon the land, and there was no one to work the ground, but a mist came up from the land and watered the whole surface of the ground. This does not work. It does not work. Okay? You can't, if God is saying that there was no one to work the ground, well, we have here in Genesis 1, now you're going to have scholars say that, well, 1 tells you the periods in which it happened, and then 2 gives you a more detailed account. Guys, there's truth to that, but it doesn't totally fly, because it doesn't matter if this is the more detailed account. It's still, the details still have to square with the first chapter, and they don't. They don't square. Right off the bat, it's way too off of its schedule, way too off. Now, I mean, there's things that you'll read, like when you read the Gospels, you're gonna see some details that were off, right? Like, say for instance, when you got those who came back to the tomb of Christ, and the Bible says that, okay, they saw one angel, and then another person said, well, there was 2 angels, and then where they were, it's like, well, the bottom line is that this stone was moved, and Christ wasn't in that cave. That's what the main point comes down to. And when you have different witnesses, you're going to get some variations in testimony. Okay, but here, the problem with this, though, is that there isn't a variation of witnesses trying to give a testimony. This is one person. This is God telling you the story, and Moses writing it down. So we can't get these details off too far. You know what I'm saying? So this is God giving a testimony. It's like, I don't imagine that God is going to screw up these details that bad. All right. So now let's look at it from really basically the power of God establishing the natural order. The power of Almighty God basically legislating the laws that govern our universe and then applying them as only God can. Okay. These are the genealogical records, meaning that we are talking about the straight up origin of the earth. The origin of the earth. Not the restoration of the earth that's talked about in the 6 days. The origin of the earth. God's going to break it down to us. Okay. Now, no shrub of the field was in the land yet, and no green plants of the field had sprouted yet, for Adonai Elohim had not caused it to rain upon the land, and there was no one to work the ground. Okay, so we know in the 3rd day, he says, let the land sprout grass. Sprout grass? How you gonna do that? There was no rain, and there was no one to work the ground yet. 2, it says that there has to be some rain, and somebody's got to work the ground. But this happened before man was created. So we're off here. Because chapter 1:11, continuing, actually going on to 12, the land brought forth grass, green plants yielding seeds, each according to its species, and trees making fruit with seed in it, each according to its species, and God saw that it was good. So these things happened. They happened on the 3rd day. The land is yielding fruit-bearing trees, and there's grass and all that sort of stuff, right? It's all here. Man ain't here yet. But in 2, it says that there was no one to work the ground. So there were no green trees. There were no plants. There was nothing. Because it had not rained yet, and there was nobody to work the ground. So we got a problem. But it's not a problem if you understand that this is talking about the origin of the earth. So here's the deal. God demonstrates his power by what we observe in nature. Right? So when I'm looking at nature, I'm like, hey, I can't look at nature. I can't look at the stars in the sky. I can't look at the programs that God writes for us to perpetuate in existence and say there is no God. I can't do it. I can't. It's totally illogical to me. So with that in mind, I can see, and when we observe how land masses and stuff like that on Earth, how they're yielded, how they come to pass. So now when God is talking about the land is not giving shrub, it's not giving trees and stuff like that. Okay, so we're talking about Earth flipping primeval. On Earth, when Earth is forming, okay, so we got the gravitational forces that are slamming dust and molecules together. Just bam, they're being slammed together, right? So this is the Lord putting gravity to work. God's putting gravity to work, right? So we know that these bodies that we observe, in space, we're saying, okay, you have this compression. Matter is starting to compression, dust and molecules and whatnot, slam together, right? And then the friction, you got this friction that's just starting to mold them, okay? So you got this hot ball of dust and debris that's coming together, okay? So the earth is starting to form. Now, we got this hot rock. Now, as this hot rock is starting to cool, the earth is rotating. Let's just imagine, let's go through a trip with me. Go through a trip with me. Hey, focus on the word. Don't focus on my beard or lack thereof. It's a long story why I had to shave it. Come on now, focus on the word. I'm trying to grow the beard back as fast as I can, okay? And Lord knows I do miss it. All right, so listen. God has demonstrated the formation of the earth. Now, to those who scientists and astronomers and whatnot, we're trying to say that the earth got water because an asteroid brought it to it, or a comet brought water to the earth. Guys, it's absurd. It is an absurd. You mean to tell me that an asteroid, just this wandering asteroid, is going to bring water or ice to the earth? Really? Okay, so where did the asteroid get water from then? Y'all gonna have to go way back to try to explain where an asteroid got water from to bring water to the earth, or where the comet got water from to bring water to the earth. Here's an idea. Being that the earth itself is in prime position, rotation, and speed to be where it is, don't you think that the earth would be more in a more feasible state to produce its own water? I mean, if an asteroid can produce its own water and bring it to the earth, how come the earth can't produce its own water? See, I don't understand that. Earth, you look all out through the skies and the universe and stuff like that, and they're trying to look for life, but they know that Earth is in a great position to facilitate life, but they don't think that the Earth is in a prime position to facilitate its own water. Come on, man. Dang. So the water that's on the Earth, okay, we look at things like condensation. So when the Earth is slammed together with all these elements, minerals, metals, right? So when it's pushed, when it's slammed together, it's rotating, it's friction, and when it rotates, it doesn't quite have an atmosphere yet. So when it rotates away from the sun, it's gonna get cold. It's gonna get really cold. And what's gonna happen? Condensation. So condensate, because we got all the elements. All the elements are there. All the elements are there, y'all. So all the elements, including the elements that make water, are going to start to you're going to have this condensation on Earth. You're going to have frost. And then you're going to have melting, right? So this condensation that forms on the Earth, let's say it starts to drip into the caverns, right? It starts to, I mean, the Earth is huge, guys. I mean, compared to us, the Earth is a pretty darn big place. Okay? So there's going to be a lot of water. A lot of water that's going to form as the Earth rotates, goes to the cool side. And of course, you're going to have the poles and whatnot. You know, maybe. I don't know, because the atmosphere hasn't completely formed yet. Okay, but you're going to have what's exposed to the sun mostly, and then what's, mostly exposed, not exposed to the sun. So yeah, Earth rotates, and you're going to get this water development. And when that water goes into these caverns, it's probably going to be exposed to more heated parts of the Earth. It's going to evaporate. It's going to come up out of the ground as a mist. And we see mist, we see geysers and stuff like that. We can observe that today. So this water goes down, and the Bible says here in chapter 3 that God chapter 2, sorry about that, guys. Chapter 6, but a mist came up from the land and watered the whole surface of the ground. Okay, so that means that this water is exposed to what's still, hot on the Earth, volcanic activity or whatever, so it's meeting some molten aspects of the Earth. It gets vaporized, comes up out of the Earth as a mist. Or when it rotates, you got condensation and stuff like that, or frost or whatnot. As it turns, it's going to be exposed to the sun, and that also is going to turn into a vapor. So, but now, that being said, so the Bible is kind of breaking this down to us already. Remember, the Bible has already given us all the things that facilitate life, atmosphere, a land. Land. You're gonna have land. You need water. You're gonna need these things that the Bible has already told us that life needs, that scientists are looking for. But the thing is God breaks that down and lets us know, but all that stuff ain't gonna mean nothing without me, who actually initiates life. So scientists, you can go ahead and try to make the medium if you want to. You can go ahead and try to make you a culture or whatnot. You do not have what it takes to actually make life come up out of it. That's the thing. So God is the main ingredient. All right, let's see. So now, God is saying that no one was working the ground yet. Now, in order for to get this process of vegetation and whatnot, it has to have a purpose, guys. If something doesn't have a purpose, it's not going to thrive. So there has to be a purpose for these shrubs and stuff to grow up out of ground. Meaning that they have to be here for someone or something, or else it's not going to grow. So now I know the traditionalists, they have a problem with this, even though the Bible says it. They cannot handle the fact that angels occupied the earth. Bible lets us know that. Even Satan was here. He established trade. Lets us know that. Read Isaiah and Ezekiel. It's letting you know that Satan was here before Adam. He went back and forth. He could before his fall. Before God said, I'm going to give you over to desire. Man, you want the earth so bad? Fine. Bam. Body slammed him to the earth. Go ahead. Okay? So Satan was here. Angels were here. They had kingdoms. They had trade. Now, before they occupied the earth, God was making the earth a nice inhabitable place. So before the ground yielded fruit and all and grass and so on and so forth, there had to be a purpose for it. So now when they have a purpose, when the angels are going to occupy the earth, because now you have someone to reap and sow the ground. That's right, angels worked. As we read on, you'll find that angels eat. They're not just these spirit bodies floating around. These spirits have bodies. The Bible tells us. Hey, look it up. We ain't gonna do it because it'll take too long. Okay? But they eat, you know, they have body, you know, they wash, you know, they bathe, you know, so it's like, yeah, guys, they also work the ground. So now the other interesting thing that it says is that nothing had grown yet because there was no rain. Now some believe that the earth was in some sort of canopy. The Bible doesn't really say that. It doesn't really say that the earth was enveloped in some sort of canopy, which really wouldn't make sense because, like I said, I think I mentioned this in the first chapter. It doesn't make sense that the earth was in like some sort of canopy or some sort of opacity because God put like the sun, moon, and stars up there for us to observe, you know, for signs and seasons and whatnot. And it's going to be kind of hard to watch the stars and stuff like that if you can't really see them because of this canopy. So I don't really think there was a canopy. And this mist that it's talking about is talking about the earth, this basically prime earth, you know, earth prime in its most primitive state. I think is what this is talking about. Because God said, check this out, listen. For Adonai, Elohim, had not caused it to rain upon the land, and there was no one to work the ground. If there's no rain, then that means that there will be no vegetation. So we see that we got vegetation, so which must mean that it must have rained. There had to be rain. Okay, now here's the thing about rain. Another thing that we can observe is that the Bible is telling the truth is because when God says that it hadn't rained on the earth yet, we know that we need rain for the plant life. Not just because of the rain, but because of the lightning. So lightning, and we know that lightning is an essential for basically digestible or where nitrogen can be processed or metabolized by plant life. Plant life is dependent on nitrogen that it can digest, and that's where lightning factors in. So that's why that's where there was no plant life. God says there was no plant life because it hadn't rained. And rain brings lightning, thunderstorms. So right here, we're seeing that, okay, so now the plant life is starting to grow because there was rain. So when people say that there was no rain, it was a canopy, it's like, no, that's not exactly true. Okay, so now, I think we can move on from here. I might have rambled a little bit too much, sorry. Let's take 2:7. Then Adonai formed the man out of the dust from the ground, and he breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. So man became a living being. Then Adonai Elohim planted a garden in Eden in the east, and there he put the man whom he had formed. I love that, y'all. I love that. Adam wasn't born. He wasn't made in the garden. He was made in heaven. He was placed in the garden. God made Adam out of earthen, finite material. This is key. Adam is immortal, but he's immortal, but he's made out of finite material. And hopefully, I'll remember to talk about this a little bit more. But y'all think about that, because Adam, unlike the angels, can actually be deprived of his mortality. Of his immortality. Angels are born or created immortal. Adam has the distinction of not being created immortal. He's immortal, but he's not created with finite material. So God makes him, he makes him in heaven and places him in the garden. Some people, I know some people be like, no human can be in heaven and whatnot. It's like, well, no, not according to the Bible. This is saying something different. Adam was placed in, even Enoch was taken. He was still human. Elijah, taken, human. So remember, guys, let's not put our piety in there and make these assumptions about heaven and where people can't go. Some people whom God selected, maybe God dug enough to be able to do that. Right now, where we at, God don't dig us like that. So we don't get to have that luxury. But at some point, when that super party happens, when that rapture happens, that's going to be a different story. And I'm looking quite forward to that. I hope you guys are too. All right. So Adonai Elohim planted a garden east of Eden and put the man whom he had formed. Then Adonai Elohim caused to sprout from the ground every tree that was desirable to look at and good for food. So once again, it's showing you that it wasn't man that was needed to make the grass grow. God could do it. It's like God's already making the grass grow and stuff like that, and he make the trees grow. So when it says that no one was there to work the ground, it's not talking about man per se. It's talking about angels. Angels occupied the earth before man does. Guys, you can read it. You can read it. They were already here, occupying the earth, and they jacked it up bad. They went straight up wicked town on the earth. Everything was fine. Like a lot of things, we observe that now. We see people, they take a good institution and they screw it up. We see that in human behavior. You look at Yale and Harvard. They were founded on Christianity. Look at them now, twisted. So the angels did the same thing. The earth was a pretty cool place, and they had it for a while, and they screwed it up, and God judged it. That's where you see God moving over the face of the waters. Right? Ruach Elohim, the Spirit of God, moving over the face of water, moving over the waste, moving over the sludge. In order for there to be waste here, there had to be something that was wasted. The angels turned earth into a waste, so they screwed it up bad. So they were the ones who were here first. And then God restored the earth for humanity. Starting with Adam. Then Adonai Elohim causes, okay, we read that. Let's get into reading further in 9. Now the tree of life was in the middle of the garden, and also the tree of knowledge of good and evil. A river flowed out of Eden to water the garden, and there divided and became 4 riverheads. The name of the first is Pishon, the one that winds around the whole land of the Havilah, where there is gold. The gold of that land is good. Bdellium and lapis, lazuli, stones are also there. The name of the second river is Gihon. It winds around the whole land of Cush. The name of the third river is Tigris. It runs east of Assyria, and the fourth river is Euphrates. Then Adonai Elohim took the man and gave him rest in the garden. I love this. It's like this is like a predecessor of Psalms. He took Adam, and what does it say? He leads me by he's leading me by the waters, right? Lays me down in the grass, gives me rest. Well, where was Adam placed? It says that it gave him rest. It lists you these rivers, it lists you these streams, these bodies of water where Adam was placed by. Imagine the tranquility of that. He leads me by the still waters, leads me by, and he gives me, and he lays me down in the grass. He's laying him down in the garden, right? He basically sets up Adam to chill. Just chill for a minute, man, before you go to work, right? So it's just already kind of giving you the prelude. Okay. Then Adonai Elohim, okay, read that, sorry. 16, then Adonai Elohim commanded the man, saying, from all the trees of the garden you are most welcome to eat. Okay, I got the floating wheel of death, y'all. I hope I didn't lose you. I'm just gonna reload really quick, and hopefully everything is good. All right, I'm gonna have faith that it's still going. Okay, look here. So it's talking about the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Now, it's unfortunate that a lot of people can't see how this plays out in human behavior. You got the tree of life, and you got the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And there's nothing wrong with knowledge, y'all. But the thing is, knowledge can either be used for good or it can be used for evil. And Adam was suckered into focusing on the tree of knowledge. And when you value knowledge more than you value life, we get problems. And we see that today, that people are more obsessed with knowledge. They have more regard for knowledge than they have regard for life. And that leads to problem. Because what do we say? Knowledge is power, right? And what will people kill for? Power. They want to know. They want to know the full potential of whom they can have charge over. And out of this, and they want it, and they're always looking for information. When you know things about people, it gives you power over them. And they use their knowledge, power, for evil. And they will disregard life. This started like right here. We see this in human behavior. So I don't understand why people think that this is some primitive fairy tale. This is actually very profound. Deeply profound, that we can observe in human nature today. Relevant. So let me see. But of the tree of knowledge of good and evil you must not eat, for when you eat from it, you most assuredly will die. Then Adonai Elohim said, man, it ain't good for man to be alone. You know what I'm going to do? He says, let me make a well-matched helper for him. Man, okay. Now we've already read that, it's let us. Usually it's saying let us, let us, let us make man in our image and whatnot. But in this one, I think it's interesting. It says let me. God says let me. And for anybody who doesn't think that God values woman, you're sadly mistaken. Sadly mistaken. God right here, when he gets ready to make woman, he says, I got this. He's going to take a personal approach to this himself. So Adam is basically put to death for his bride. He puts Adam under. What does the Lord call death? He calls it sleep. So Adam was put under. He died for his wife. And when Adam went under, God struck his rib, took a rib from him. Right? Took a rib from him, as we see as a picture of Christ, because when Christ was under, when he was dead, his rib was struck. His bride was born. And it's just like the same thing in here. The rib of Adam was struck. And that's where his bride was born. So Adam is demonstrated. This is God's value of women. He values women. He says, I'm going to take a personal approach to this. You know why? You know why? Because it's a gift. And this is a picture that God is showing for Jesus. Jesus, I got a gift for you. My son, I am going to present you with your bride. Adam, I am going to present you with your bride. So don't tell me that the Bible doesn't have a special affection for women. It's not, women are not second-class citizens in the court of God. God highly values you. As we can see right here, he wasn't made from the dust beneath Adam's feet. Made from his rib. Special. This is special. Let me see. It is not good for the man to be alone. So for those who you have those who say that there will be no marriage in heaven. It's like, guys, that's a total misread of what it says in Matthew, and I think it also says in Luke about there will be no marriage and they'll be like the angels of heaven and do not marry. That's a misread, guys, and I hope you guys will check out my video, A Bride to Die For. There's for some understanding on that, because when people say that well, there's not going to be any marriage anymore or anything like that, God didn't say that. One of God's initial statements about humanity is that it's not good for him to be alone. Adam is in the garden with God. You would think that he would be in the best company, but even God says it's not good for man to be alone. It's not good. So yes, there will still be marriage. If there isn't, then there's a gross contradiction in the Bible. There's still marriage. Okay, so now, let me make a well-matched helper for him. Adonai Elohim have formed from the ground every animal of the field and every flying creature of the sky. So he brought them to the man to see what he would call them. Whatever the man called them, each living creature, that was its name. So the man gave names to all the livestock and to all the flying creatures of the sky and to the animals of the field. But for the man, he did not find a well-matched helper for him. And then we go into how God caused Adam to go into a deep sleep. Okay, guys, now listen. Whew. I'm really going to get into trouble. I'm going to get into some trouble now. Really going to get into some trouble. Okay, you notice that it says that God brought all these animals for Adam to name. and there was no suitable helper, companion for him. Guys, if a person tries to read this traditionally, you open yourself wide up for those who are not necessarily believers of the Bible to think that God is an idiot who is trying to see if he can matchmake Adam with the animals that he was naming. That was Adam. Hey, damn, man, let me, dude, Adam, I know this girl. I know, dude, just bear with me, man. I know this girl. She's really nice. She's really sweet, man. I mean, she will be at your beck and call. And Adam's like, dude, you're killing me about her personality. I know that means, man, she's a heifer, man. You're gonna bring me some heifer, dude. I mean, and God's like, no, man. She's. I mean, okay, it's a cow. It is really a cow. I'm gonna bring you a cow, but just talk to her for a minute, man. I mean, she might be really cool. You guys might really hit it off. Do you really think that God is that stupid? That would be bestiality, man. God didn't bring animals to Adam to see, hey, Adam, I think you guys would be a good matchmate. That'd be bestiality. That'd be a sin. God ain't gonna do that. So let's not assume that it was from the animals. I hope nobody really thinks that, but there's nothing else, right? There's nothing else. It's like, well, who are we talking about? And we would have to assume that God didn't have the foresight to be like, oh yeah, dude, Adam, what was I thinking, dude? I remember to do all this stuff. I remember to do this and I remember to do that and all and whatnot, but I didn't remember that you might need a girlfriend. No, guys, I don't think that God is that absent-minded or shallow or buffoonish. So no, Adam wasn't brought animals to see who would be a suitable companion for him. Okay, now, this is the part where I'm going to get into trouble. Because God says that no one, okay, where are we at? Let me see. And all the animals of the field, but for the man he did not find a well-matched helper for him. Adonai Elohim caused a deep sleep to fall on the man, and he slept, and he took one of the ribs and closed up his flesh in its place. Hey, basically, God's going to bring Adam a woman. Once again, guys, it is not that God did not know that Adam would need a woman. God understands counterparts. God himself refers to himself as a counterpart. I am the Alpha and the Omega. You got the beginning, and the counterpart is its end. God knows that everything needs, you need day and night. You need hot and cold. You need up and down. You need left to right. You need wet and dry. You need all these things. You need these opposing factors. You need these counterparts to perpetuate our existence. God is looking at the animals that he created. He's looking at the seeds and plants that he created. He knows that they need male and female counterparts. You don't think that he didn't know that Adam would need one? Yeah, he knew. But but it says that God didn't see a suitable companion. Well, who was he looking from? He wasn't looking from the animals. This is where y'all really gonna get mad at me. The counterpart that God was looking for was from his angels. No, not the male angels. Female angels. Oh, I'm gonna get in trouble. Because I know people do not like to think, even though we see them a lot of times in our culture, angels are usually depicted as women. But a lot of time in the church, the idea, we kind of only yield that to like fantasy and stuff like that. That there are female angels. No, guys, there were female angels. Oh, but no, there can't be female angels. Because if there's female angels, then that would mean that there's possibly sex. Oh no. The male angels couldn't possibly be having sex. That would be defilement. That would be a sin. So in order for there not to be any sin, there has to be no women, because the presence of females would defile heaven. So we can't have female angels. No way. Well, thanks for the insult to women, anybody who thinks that. Because if the female element defiles heaven, then guess what? You ain't gonna see your wife there. You ain't gonna see your mama there. You ain't gonna see your grandma. You ain't gonna see your sister, your niece, your aunt, or anybody that's female in heaven. Basically what you have said is that women are not worthy of heaven. That's jacked up. That is belittling of women. And God has already let you know that he holds women to be highly valuable. So to think that the presence of women would defile angels, and to use that rationale to say that there were no female angels, is an insult. There were female angels. Or there are. Shouldn't say there were. There are. The Bible doesn't speak of them, just like a lot of the Bible doesn't speak of female. That was just the social economy in the manner of the Bible was written. He really didn't. Females aren't often mentioned, or at least you don't get their names. Like you don't even get the name of the wife of Noah. You don't even get her name. Okay? So that doesn't mean that there weren't female angels. Remember, they have counterparts. Angels, male. You have male angels. They are specifically male. They have the plumbing to be male. And if they are made, remember guys, there has to be a purpose for it. So angels aren't just created male just to not have anything to reciprocate that. There has to be a counterpart to him. So there were female angels. But none of the female angels were suitable for Adam. Adam was created different. Remember, guys, Adam was created out of finite material. Why? Because Adam was a different creation. See, angels that fell. There were angels that fell. There were angels that remained loyal to God, and there was angels that fell. God had to create a new dynamic because these angels were born, created with the proof of God. Adam had proof of God. So there's another thing that makes them equal. But angels could not lose their immortality. So God came up with a different dynamic of fellowship. This is a whole different thing. This isn't about him. This is about us. This isn't about God saying, oh, I'm going to create you to where you have total dependency on me for your immortality. It's not like that. Because ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, is that when we realize our dependency on God, that is when we do right by each other. That's where God is coming from. It's like God's not this. If you don't believe in me, you're going to die. So because I'm going to make you out of finite material, so you'll be totally dependent on me. No, that's not what it's about. When we realize our dependency on God and we recognize him for who he is and that we are an aspect who should be a grateful aspect of his creation, that is when we can actually come into fellowship, because we see that his way is number one. And what he wants is for us to do right by each other. That's why we're created that way. That's why I acknowledge my dependency on him for life, because he authored it. He is totally entitled to my life. He made me. And I am cool with that. And by his decree, I will know how to treat others. Am I perfect at it now? Heck no. I still kind of suck at it. I'm still learning. But that's what that comes down to. So now, but God says, there's nobody for you. There are no female angels for you. It's not that the female angels were good, but because they're not equally yoked. Remember, guys, angels are like us and we're like them. The only real difference between us is that angels are immortal and we're not, in the state that we're in. And even in the state that Adam was in, when he was immortal, he could still lose his immortality. He could lose it. Angels cannot lose their immortality. So even though there were female angels, Adam could not be married to one. They're not equally yoked. Their view of God is going to be different. Their view of dependency on God is going to be different. So Adam can't be equally yoked to another angel. Angels are like us. They have to be like us because mankind and human can reproduce together. The Bible already says that in Genesis. They can reproduce together. So they are pretty much the same species. A species has to be like enough, right? You can only reproduce with your same species. If a species is relatively close, they can probably reproduce one generation. After that, they're born sterile. But angels and humans were perpetuating a species. So angels and humans are very much alike. The only real difference is the mortality issue. So in this, God already knows that Adam's going to need a wife. But it can't be one of the angels. They're not exactly equally yoked for the purpose that Adam was created for. So Eve was created for Adam. Now, this is gorgeous, man. This is awesome. I'm almost wrapping up right here. This is ceremonial, man. I mean, when you examine it, we think about it, it's like, okay, Adam woke up and, hey, here's this woman for you. Nah, man, this is a wedding ceremony. This is ceremonial. Eve was brought to Adam like a daddy bringing his girl for a husband. For beyond, we get married right here. God is bringing her. And we went just on a funny note. It's like, well, why did God send out? Why did God have Adam name all the animals so Adam would know who to send invitations to? And that's why it's like, hey, come to my wedding. We getting ready to have a wedding, baby, right? So you got all them animals there, and God is bringing Eve. That is his gift. It's a gift for you, man. It's a wedding ceremony. God brings Eve. He places her in the garden. He brings Eve she's coming out of heaven, man. God, the way he formed Adam, formed him out of the dust. And by the way, the word is dust. And we'll touch on that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to try to touch on that in a second. Don't let me forget. Adam was made, placed in the garden. Eve was brought to Adam. Here comes Poppy, bringing this little girl. Gonna bring it to Adam. All the animals there. And guess what? All the angels there too. Eve is coming. God is like walking Eve down the aisle from heaven, y'all. And Adam is like, dang. All the angels are standing up. They're posted up. They stand up. Just like in a wedding ceremony. They stand up to present the bride, man. God values woman. Don't tell me that he don't sound like the Bible, some chauvinistic book. No, it isn't. Letting you know right off the bat that woman is a precious gift. And Adam is standing there waiting. Just looking at him, bringing her down to earth. Angels flanking him. Going, yeah. Adam's like, yeah. And God is just coming down, just pointing at him saying, I know, right? Did I hook you up, boy, or what? And she wasn't wearing no fancy wedding gown, man. He brought Eve to her. He brought Eve to him butt naked. She was in full glory. Adam standing there at the altar, man. He's like, oh, man. Standing in the garden. He ain't got nothing on either. He ain't got on no tux. Naked. He's butt naked. Waiting for his woman. Right? Drink. So, right on that day, this is a wedding ceremony. Oh, that's going to go into chapter 3. We ain't going to get there. And y'all, this is all going down in like one day. This happens really fast. It's going down. Adam and Eve hardly even had a chance to enjoy the garden. And so as we'll pick this up on 3. I think it's at 3. But also, I wanted you guys to think about this. When man was created, it says that he was made from the dust. Now, I know that in science, we're looking at it as, you have to have water for life. You have to water. It's like, yeah, you do. But you ain't going to have life if you don't have God. Go ahead and try to figure all you want to. You do not have the code. You do not have the go button that initiates life. You just don't. And the Bible specifically says that man was created out of dust. And when you break it down, there's no water. There's no water in it. It's dry earth. It's dust. Meaning that God is what actually brings forth the life. It's not, the life isn't the water. It's God. God uses the water. But God is the one. It's like, go ahead, try it, man. See if you can figure it out. God is the only one with that. He's the author. Now, when you look in different books, like say, for instance, you look at the Quran. The Quran says man is made of clay. So this yields to the ideal that man is dependent on water, not necessarily dependent on God. The Bible makes it clear that we are dependent on God. And we get these other ideas that man is made from clay. And even in our culture, in our traditions, we say that man was made from clay. That's not the Bible that told y'all that. That's the Quran that got into your head. The Quran says that we're made from clay, not the Bible. So let me see. I think, all right. I'm going to leave off there. I think I've said a lot. And we'll pick it up on 3. So, thanks, y'all. Hey, that's right, Christiane. Ash to ashes, dust to dust. There you go. I hope y'all got a kick out of that. I hope I remembered everything. So, you guys have an awesome rest of your Thursday. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. And we will do it again. I think Sunday. Well, Sunday. Might have something I got to do this Sunday, so I don't know. I'll put out a bulletin if I can make it Sunday or not. But whatever I put up, I hope you guys are going to be there. All right, blessings. Rock on.